What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some big news that came out involving Tesla, big news involving the whole markets that came out over the weekend, and what you should be watching for as time goes on. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends very soon, in just about 9 days from now. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the market. So, as you guys can see, the market is looking very, very interesting. We saw a nice rebound attempt by the market on Friday, and as of right now, the majority of stocks look quite bullish. But Tesla was showing weakness on the daily because we had some negative news that came out involving, this recall as the mainstream news is describing it. But I just wanted to say that Tesla was holding up for the majority of Friday, only to sell off at the very end. But we're still holding some critical support, so we're not officially like super bearish. I'll talk about these key levels in just a couple of minutes, but I want to go over some news first. So there's this news right here that the NHTSA is finally acknowledging that Tesla will fix the quote unquote recalls with a software update. But calling it a recall from the very start does not make sense to me because, like I said before, it's simply just a tire pressure warning fix that Tesla has to do. I don't think it's like your conventional recall. But, anyways, this is good. At least they're finally doing this. I think there's like a screenshot right over here of how this is reported. They're mentioning the fact that the TPMS lights may not be illuminated, especially when those issues emerge. But it does say there's a software update repairs recall that the NHTSA is now kind of showing it as. So I appreciate that, the fact that they're showing that, but at the same time, I don't think that they're properly reporting the fact that this is not your conventional recall. But hey, that's just my opinion. When it comes to other things, just know that this is part of the reason why the market ended up seeing a different reaction from Tesla. We had lots of good news for the market involving the PCE data report and lots of option expirations. The market tried to push higher, and so did Tesla, but then Tesla ended up failing at the very end of the day. Now, things could shift as time goes on since this news should cool off by then, and we'll be watching to see what news comes out for tomorrow. There's also this news right over here about how in 2025 the Tesla Model Y Juniper could be coming out. I think that's going to be pretty cool if that ends up being the case, but this isn't confirmed by Tesla quite yet. I'm seeing lots and lots of talk about this, especially as there are claims that the reports have been leaked and such. So it's a possibility Tesla might give us the refresh as soon as next year, maybe in a couple of months, but it's not a guarantee. We'll just see what Tesla tells us about that. If the news does come out about that, it's going to be very bullish. I do expect a very nice reaction by Tesla. Barrett is giving Tesla an outperform rating, saying Tesla will eventually outperform its counterparts. Mizuho did the same thing with a very bullish $515 plus price target. So good news has still been coming out for Tesla over the last couple of days. Besides that, the price price ratio has been coming down a bit. Tesla did lose a little bit of strength after it underperformed compared to the markets, but it's not the end of the world. I still think Tesla's holding support and it could try to rebound. Mondays are known for being green about 53% of the time historically, so we do tend to be more green on Mondays. There tends to be more volatility now at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 o'clock a.m., and then also a little bit more towards the second to last hour of the day. But the main time to watch for volatility will be during the first like 2 to 3 hours for Tesla. At least over the last couple of weeks, that's been the new trend. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy in terms of news and data. We did see high volume that came back to Tesla, but we'll see if that's maintained. For the whole market, just know this: the market did attempt to rebound. We saw Apple in the green, Nvidia in the green, Google in the majority of different sectors. But then there were exceptions such as Tesla, which was down quite a bit because of negative news. That was despite the PCE report that came out that was bullish. Tesla still remained kind of weak. Now, for the week, just know this: there's not much data coming out. Tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., we have the Chicago Fed National Activity Index. Then we have consumer confidence at 10 a.m. and a couple of bill auctions as well. But that's pretty much it. There's nothing too significant and too crazy coming out for the week because on Wednesday it's going to be Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. The market's going to be open for just 4 days for the week. It's going to be closed on Wednesday, so there's going to be less volume coming in. So keep that in mind. Also, I'm going to say this for earnings. Okay, earnings are also going to be very minor. There's nothing too significant coming out for this week and next week. Things get very serious starting the first week of January, going into the second week. So just keep that in mind, guys. That's going to be very, very key. Now, there was one catalyst that could help the market to some extent. There's this news right here that Congress has passed a bill to avert the government shutdown ahead of the holidays. This could be a very, very big market moving catalyst. It's a possibility because this avoided a big disaster, and Wall Street could use whatever catalyst that they choose to move the markets. You have to remember that. Why? Because the market is very, very manipulated because of the options chains. You have to remember that. So this means that there's a strong possibility this could cause a lot more volatility, and they may use this as an excuse to pump the market even more and squeeze even more shorts. That's always a possibility. What happened was on Friday, after the market closed, we had this news that the US House of Representatives came up with a bill to continue to fund the government up until like mid March. That is good news, and then passed on to the Senate. The Senate approved it yesterday at like it was like 12:39 a.m., which is pretty crazy. And then the big guy, Mr. Joe Biden, he came out, he signed the bill yesterday during the afternoon, and that's some good news, right? That's good news that's come out. We have avoided a government shutdown. The government will be funded until mid March. Besides that, the fear and greed index is currently at fear. This is starting to shift a little bit more rightward, getting closer to neutral. So we'll have to see how that goes. Indicators show that there's a lot of market momentum that is slowing. We're now at fear, and if this ends up holding its support and tries to rebound, this could try to get back up to neutral. So we need to see a lot more upside for this to stop this downtrend that's been started. If we get another follow through day going into like Christmas time, we might see some more upsides. So just keep that in mind, and this could go back to neutral. The put to call option ratio is at fear. As soon as people started buying lots of puts, the market saw this nice rebound. So we'll have to see if it continues. And volatility remains neutral as well. The VIX has been dipping, but it hasn't lost its 50 daily moving average, so it's still doing a good job. With that being said, guys, that's it for my news analysis. Now I just want to focus on what's happening with the charts. So Tesla is very simple, okay? Unfortunately for Tesla, when you look at the daily time frame, it is technically looking weaker. So just in case if we do end up losing our support around that 419 area, you're going to be looking at 415-ish. If that fails us, I think there could be a retest of the low of the day, which if that fails, we just dump all the way down to about 398 to 400. That's your more bearish case in case we do end up losing 419 to 415. If that area fails us, we could be dumping all the way down here. And then we should try to bounce off that support. But here's the thing. That's under the assumption we lose the support, and that hasn't happened quite yet. So what I mean is Tesla's range bound right now. If you look at the last couple of days, as Tesla gets close to its 20 EMA, it likes to reject near this. As we get very close to our 50 EMA, we like to get bought back up. So we're trying to hold 419 on Tesla. I'm hoping that we do try to hold this. Hopefully, this is not like a head and shoulders, like a left shoulder, head and a right shoulder. And just know that if you look at the last couple of days, most of the time in the mornings, we do tend to push. So, for example, if you look at like Monday morning, we pushed. Tuesday, we started with a dip and then a push. Wednesday, we pushed and then dumped. Thursday, we pushed and then we dumped. Friday, we pushed, pushed, pushed. Then we got a little bit of a rug pull at the end of the day. So, we love to push in the mornings, and currently for the short term, Tesla's range bound. So the bearish and bullish cases are not official yet until we see which way this breaks. So Tesla has support at 419 and 415. 419 is the main area. We have resistance at 438. We like to push in the morning, so there's a good chance Tesla will attempt to push for at least 430. If that breaks, I'm looking for 438. And we need to break that to remain a lot more bullish for 450 plus. If we lose 419, we're looking for a dump back down towards 415-ish. And then if that fails us, we dump all the way down to the low from Friday, followed by, the 400 area. So in my opinion, there is a possible head and shoulders, but we haven't lost key support. And I think that for Monday, Tesla's going to try to push a little bit. Look for a push attempt into the 430s in the morning. 430 to 438 should be tested pretty easily. And then we'll see if Tesla gets a rejection again and which way we end up breaking it, because we're still technically range bound. And we have to give Tesla time to develop its range. I want to say that it could go either way because of how the market's moving and also because of the news that's coming out. It's very mixed right now. So give Tesla some time. Look for a push tomorrow morning for the 430 plus area to 438, and we'll see if you get a rejection or not. We're range bound until we see which way this breaks, just to clarify. For SPY and the others, just keep in mind that SPY is also in a very, very interesting place. I like the fact that it's trying to reverse right now, especially as we have a big green bar. I went over my video yesterday. As we typically get these big green bars, it does tend to favor more upside later on. There's a very, very good chance it's going to try to do that. Now, with PCE data being decent, the fact that we're close to the end of the year, and also because of the government shutdown being avoided, I would say that the odds do favor more bullish catalysts that are coming out. This makes me suspect the possibility of more potential upside if we could break resistance. So keep these levels in mind. If SPY ends up losing 591, which is very close to where our 200 EMA happens to be, we're looking for 588 as our main support. If we bounce off this, we're looking for a break past 595. If that breaks, we're looking for essentially 599. And then if that breaks, we're going into the 600s. Could go either way, but this is favoring upside because of the big green bar right here. And just know that historically, when this happens, after we get these like big rejections, after a big green bar, we do tend to run more. If you want some proof of that, you guys can watch my video from yesterday. I did go over that, but I don't want to go like over everything too many times because this time the video is a little bit more limited this time. I have less time to go over everything. So with that being said, with the big green bar here, what's going to likely happen is we might see a little shuffle here in an attempt to get to 595. If that breaks, I'm easily looking for a 600. Very close to 600 is going to be our next target. There's a good chance SPY is going to attempt to do that, but watch and see. As long as we establish a higher low here and we start to break past 595, I'm looking for 600 as our target. As long as we don't lose 588, I do favor this target. So I'm favoring upside a bit more, especially because of the big green bar and the more bullish news that came out with the government shutdown being avoided. So I'm favoring 595 will be tested. And if that breaks, we're looking for essentially more upside to get closer into the 600s. So keep that in mind, guys. There's a good chance that SPY is going to try to rebound to make sure you watch your levels just to be safe. As far as other tickers go, such as ES, just know that ES is also showing some life. I want to say this: if ES does lose support around the 5980 area, that's where the support is right over here. We're looking for a move back down to 5950. As long as we hold above 6,000, we're looking for a rebound attempt to get back up to 6,060. Now, looking at the chart, it does look like we have a nice big green bar, which typically favors the upside direction. But in order for this to continue, we need confirmation and a hold above 6,000 to get back up to 6060. I think that the chart looks a bit more bullish looking at the daily and the 4 hours, so I favor upside a bit more. But just for confirmation, we have to wait and see, excuse me, if we end up getting what we're looking for. So for now, the chart does favor upside a bit. We're going to be looking for an attempt to hold above 6,000. As long as this holds going into tomorrow, there might be a lot of shuffling and eventually an attempt to push for 6060. For Nvidia, I see some life, but we need confirmation first to really get a breakout. So notice that Nvidia has been fighting at its key EMAs. So for example, right here at the 50 EMA, we pushed and rejected, we pushed and rejected, pushed and rejected. And this time we are trying to get back above our 50 EMA. If we manage to break above 136, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 140, which is where our imbalance happens to be. And if we end up losing 133, we're looking for a dip back down towards 130. So watch 133. We got to hold that. Otherwise, this is going to dip. And if we break past 136, we're looking for 140. I'm favoring it might dip a bit, then try to push for 136. If that breaks, this imbalance takes us up to about the 140 area. And I think there's a good chance that ends up happening. Look for a dip and a bounce. And I think there's a good chance it's going to perpetuate here. So look and see for a very, very nice move. For Bitcoin, we're holding support quite decently around the 94,000 area. So right over here, if 94,500 fails, I'm going to be looking for an attempt to get back to 92,800. There might be a small dip on Bitcoin because of this imbalance before it attempts to bounce again, but there's very strong support between 92 and 93,000. We might dip a little bit more before it tries to bounce, and I'm hoping we get back above 96,000 after that. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. For other factors out there, we have NQ. NQ is looking like it's trying to break out right over here. If we end up losing support at 21,500, this is going to try to rebound, try to get back above 21,800. So if we break this resistance, I think 22,000 becomes a nice potential target. If we lose 21,500, we're going to be dipping back down towards 21,300. So it could go either way. I favor this might dip a little bit towards the support around the 21,400, 21,300 area. Then it could try to rebound and make its move back up to about 21,800. I think there's a good chance NQ is trying to reverse here since we're breaking the high here. As long as we make a higher low, this could try to start pushing higher. And this imbalance would push it a lot higher as well. So I'm favoring a little bit of a dip. There might be a small dip on NQ to re-grab liquidity around 21,500. And hopefully we get a bounce back up to 21,600 plus. For the QQQ, the same thing is going on. The 4 hour looks a bit more bullish. If we could break past 523, 525 is likely coming, and eventually 527, and then into the 530s. If we lose support right here at 517, we're looking for a dip back down towards we're looking for a dip back down towards the 512.5 area, then eventually 508. I think that with the big green bar forming here, right? We have a very, very nice big green bar. We came down, we're trying to get a bounce. Break 523, and we're looking for essentially 527 or above. So I think there's a good chance we try to rebound here. I think there's a good chance it's going to try to push higher as well. So with this imbalance right over here, I think the odds are favoring upside, and I think that we're doing a great job on the QQQ. So I favor a break of 523 for much higher levels, such as like 527. For Apple, Apple's looking a little bit more bullish because of the fact that we're holding above 255. As long as that holds, we're looking for 257. And if we lose 255, we're looking for a dip back down towards 253.8. So we look more bullish here. We're trying to break out higher. So I think 257 is going to be a nice target. I think Apple's looking quite good so far. For Netflix, Netflix, in my personal opinion, is looking decent. We have a nice double bottom like structure. Just know as long as we hold 908, we're looking for an attempt to get back up towards 920 or above. If we lose the support, we're looking for a dip back down to about 905. To me, with the big green bar and the fact that we're holding our 50 EMA makes me think it's going to try to bounce for 920 plus. There's a good chance it's going to try to go a little bit higher. For MSTR, we look more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing 365 and then 360, we are favoring 378. So look for a test of 378. If that breaks, I think we easily go up closer to 400. So I think it's looking more bullish. Celsius is looking a little bit weaker. It's range bound around 26.8. We like to get bought back up. Around 28, we like to reject. So it's just going back and forth for now. I hope this support holds because we are technically in a small range right here. This could try to push us back up to 28, but right now it's very flat, so it's not really doing a whole lot. So please keep that in mind. For others out there, we have Super Micro. This is on a bit of a downtrend technically, but now it's trying to rebound off this big green bar. So it could be a reversal structure developing here, but I want to see it get back above 33.15. If that breaks tomorrow, we're looking for 36. If we can't, it's going to reject. So I'm going to be looking for 33 to be tested tomorrow. Palantir has more potential. I think there's a very, very good chance that's going to attempt to push higher. I actually had a target of about 82 on it the last time I checked it. So to me, I think that Palantir is looking quite decent, especially if we end up getting back to our main resistance again. So there's a nice accumulation structure here, and I think 82 is likely coming. If that breaks, I'm looking for 85 plus, and eventually it's going to get close to 90. So it looks very bullish right now. They've been in talk with essentially potentially forming deals with SpaceX and such. So I think that's quite bullish. That could help this push a lot more. Rivian is looking decent. As long as it does not lose 13.5, it's favoring. It wants to go up to about 14.5. So I think the 4 hour does look a bit more bullish. And 14.5 could be a nice potential target on this chart as long as we don't lose support. For SoFi, it looks more bullish. I'm looking for a test of about 15.8. Might be trying to push here as long as we don't end up losing. 15 flats, we're favoring 15.8. Eventually the 16. So I see some more upside here. For the IWM, we look more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing essentially 220, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 225. Eventually these higher levels. So look for a little bit of a dip and a bounce for 225 plus as we look a bit more bullish. For AMD, AMD is looking decent. We'll have to be looking for 122.8. If that fails us, I'm looking for an attempt to get back up to 126. If we lose support here and we end up losing 120, we're looking for 118 as our target, but I think this is favoring 122.8. For ARM, we're looking decent. We're trying to hold support right here. As long as this holds, we're looking for 136 as our target. Eventually 137.39. So I think we favor a little bit of a bounce here. For Coinbase, we look more decent. As long as we don't end up losing 273, we're favoring 290. So I see potential in this with the reversal structure. But just to be safe, watch 273. We got to hold this to bounce back up to 290. If not, we're going to be dumping. I think this is favoring upside a bit more for 290. So that looks, more promising to me. For Amazon, Amazon's looking a bit more bullish. We need to hold to 223.89. If we lose that, we're going to be dumping back down to 222, then 220. As long as 223.8 holds tomorrow, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 229 as a potential target, almost 230. For Meta, we look more bullish. As long as we don't end up losing 586, I think we're favoring a move back up towards 600. If we do lose this, we could be dipping, so it's a little bit lackluster compared to other stocks out there. So we'll see about that. I do think there's going to be a small rebound close to 600. We'll see if we reject and start dumping again. Look for a small rebound, and we'll see what the reaction is. There's a little bit of weakness on Meta compared to the others, but look for that rebound first just to see how it does. Microsoft is stuck in a range between support at 430 and resistance at 441. We're stuck in between. It might attempt to get back up to 440, but it might see a lot of consolidation right now. It's not as strong as its counterparts. But Google's looking more bullish because we haven't lost 192 as support, and we're looking like we want to get back up to 197 to fill that imbalance. So overall, I think it's doing a great job. For others out there, we have GameStop. GameStop looks more bullish, looking for a potential target around 31. So it might be a small bounce on GameStop. AMC might be pushing for 4.3, so keep that in mind. For DJT, it looks a little bit more bullish. We're looking for a test of 36 or a little bit under that, and we'll see if we break that. If we do, we're looking for 38 as our potential target. The VIX looks a bit more bearish to me. If we can't hold above 19.06, we're looking for a dump to 16.85, which tends to favor upside for the markets. The 10-year has this big gap above. There's also like this a gap below. So it could go either way. But for now, because of the fact that the Fed has made the announcements and made, uh, it may not affect the market as much. We'll have to see if it pulls back a bit closer to about 4.4 before it tries to bounce again. and the dollar is starting to dip. We'll see if the dollar could hold 197.8, or if it doesn't, it could be dipping to 107.3. That could be affecting how the market moves, so just give it some time. With that being said, guys, I want to thank you all so much for listening. So please have a great rest of your day. Just know that Tesla is doing a decent job at holding its key supports. So I hope that it starts off with a nice push going into tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, look for a push attempt into the 430s. And then we'll see how it reacts. Technically, it is range bound right now between supply and demand. And we'll see which way it ends up going. So we have to wait a little bit. But for now, if we do end up losing our key support, look for a dump. And if we break resistance, we will pump a lot more. I went over the levels earlier, so just keep those in mind. So with that being said, I really thank you guys for listening. Please have a good rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow before market open for another update. Thank you, and peace out.